from something very concrete to something very abstract. Today I will be dealing with reason and imagination. So the topic of my discussion is reason and imagination. Clear? Now, can you tell me what is this?
Chalk.
It's a chalk. How do you know it's a chalk? How do you know it's a chalk? Because it looks like a chalk. So that proves the fact that you already have an idea of chalk. That a chalk should look like this. This is not a chalk, but this is a chalk. So it brings us to two different things. One is your idea and the object. So you have the object, the chalk, and the idea of an object. Okay? So until and unless you have an idea, you will not be able to recognize an object. Clear? So object and the idea of an object. Clear? Now it actually creates a rupture in the entire Western metaphysics. So the entire aesthetic domain can be divided into two halves: the Apollonian and the Dionysian. Or to be more precise, the empirical school and the idealist school. The empirical school is of the opinion that the object is primary and the idea is secondary. On the other hand, the idealist school is of the opinion that the idea is primary and the object is secondary. How? Now, Plato, the famous Greek philosopher, Plato was of the opinion that poets should be banned from the ideal republic. It's called polis, P-O-L-I-S. Poets should be banned from the ideal republic. Why? Because they propagate falsity. Because Plato was of the opinion that this world, the world in which we live, this world is nothing but a mere reflection of the world of ideas. So in the world of ideas, you have the idea of chalk, here you have the chalk. So what comes first for Plato? Idea. So until and unless you have an idea of a chalk, you will not be able to recognize it as a chalk. That particular school is called the idealist school. On the other hand, people like John Locke, people like Aristotle, they are of the opinion that if you haven't seen a chalk ever, how can you have an idea? If I haven't seen a chalk, if I go to Amazon jungle and show it to the tribal people, they will be frightened. Because that thing will be, they will be very, very oblivious to the fact that it's a chalk. So, you see, Aristotle or John Locke, they are of the opinion that until and unless you have seen or you have the object, how can you have the idea of an object? So that brings us to two different schools of thought. The empirical school, which believes in the primacy of object, and the idealist school, which believes in the primacy of idea. Clear? Now this is almost like a chicken-egg dialectic. This can never be solved. What comes first? The idea or the object? The idea of an object or the object? The chalk or the idea of a chalk? Clear? Now, you see, this particular world, this can be called physics and this can be called metaphysics. This is called the physics, the physical world, the world in which we live, the tangible world, the world which can be observed through our five senses. Clear? When you talk about my being, we all have an individual being. That is your first person pronoun, I. So it is not always a being, but being in the world. You are always already entangled, enmeshed with the world. So your being is never separate from the world. And the thing that acts as a kind of mediator between the being, your being, five senses, they act as a kind of mediator, a kind of a bridge between you and the world. Clear? So, John Locke is of the opinion that the only knowledge can only be gained through five senses. Clear? Knowledge can only be gained through five senses. Locke is of the opinion that our mind is nothing but a kind of a tabula rasa. Now what is tabula rasa? Tabula rasa means blank slate. It's blank, it's completely blank. Clear? It's completely blank. Now that makes, and you see, the only way we can gather knowledge is through our five senses. So knowledge is actually coming from the outside to inside. It's coming from without to within. Clear? Now, you see, so that actually makes our mind a passive receptor of things. Mind becomes active or passive? Passive, because I am passively receiving knowledge through my five senses. So mind here is not active, mind is passive with capital P. Mind becomes very, very passive here. It does not have that power, it does not have that autonomy, it does not have that capacity, potentiality to understand the world differently. It is always already contingent upon the five senses. Clear? So here, mind is conceived as a very, very passive thing, as opposed to Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant is of the opinion that no, mind is not passive, but mind is active. There are certain things in the mind which are a priori, which is already there. Clear? And these things are called a priori things. Now, a priori things, for Kant it was time, space and causality. Time, space and causality for Kant are the a priori things, clear, which are given. It cannot be constructed, but something which is always already given. Now, so that proves the fact that your mind is not tabula rasa. Your mind is not completely empty. You have certain things by default. You have certain things by default. So, you see, for Kant, mind is active. So, it is powerful, it is autonomous, it can change things. Clear? It can transform things. How? What is the purpose of a broomstick? That is to sweep the floor. So, you see, the existence of a broomstick lies in the fact that it should sweep the floor. Until and unless a broomstick can sweep the floor, it cannot be deemed as a broomstick. That is what my rationality tells me. That is called reason, that is called logic. Now what is happening in Harry Potter's world? In Harry Potter's world, in Hogwarts, that broomstick is actually becoming a means of transportation. That is also a part of the famous game called Quidditch. So, you see, don't you think that broomstick is actually undergoing a kind of a transformation? It is not merely, it is not anymore restricted in its form, but it has now transformed itself. Now, what is enabling this transformation? Imagination. It is J.K. Rowling's imagination that is actually enabling this kind of transformation. So if reason is all about form, imagination is all about transform. Transform means going beyond form. Clear? So, you see, so here, imagination is related to this Kantian concept of mind. But you see, Kant is of the opinion that no, it is not completely empirical part of our brain. So Kant actually maintains a kind of a balance, a kind of equipoise between transcendentality and empiricism. So for Kant, everything is a doublet. What is doublet? Doublet means everything is dual in nature. Clear? Everything is dual in nature. Everything is doublet. And he coins a phrase. That phrase is called transcendental empirical doublet. I repeat, transcendental empirical doublet. So, if there is a chalk, I can only understand a portion of this chalk. Another portion of this chalk will always remain alienated from me. I will never be able to understand this chalk fully. So to say, I will not be able to understand reality in a very absolute sort of manner. There is nothing called absolute reality. Because between you and the world, there will always be the five senses. And don't you think these five senses are very, very socially, culturally, economically, politically constructed? Because you see, the way you see reality would be very different from my way of seeing reality. What is truth to you may not be truth to me. What is false to you may not be false to me. So instead of our reality, there are realities. So my interpretation of the world is very different from your interpretation of the world. And you see, this individuality, this singularity, this particularity lies in the fact that we have this transcendental part of our brain. This is our individuality. This is our individuality. Because rest is socially constructed. Rest is a construct. Rest is construct. Clear? So this is the given part of our brain. This is the constructed part of our brain. Now, you see, now how this is affecting the literature of the day. Now, literature belongs to this transcendental domain. Because my reason would say that this is a chalk, this was a chalk, this is a chalk, this will remain a chalk. It will never change. This is reason. This is chalk. If I throw it outside, this will remain a chalk. It will never change. So its identity is very, very static. It's not kinetic. It's very, very static. Clear? This is the being. As opposed to the transcendental part, the imagination. Now, through imagination, I can actually transform this chalk into different things. Clear? So, this chalk ceases to remain a singular object. This chalk becomes something else. So, its identity is no more a fixed identity. It becomes fluid in nature. It becomes kinetic in nature. Clear? So, you see, so imagination actually makes a thing transcendental in nature. And hence, literature is often called heterocosmic in nature. Hetero means other, cosmic means world. So literature is otherworldly in nature. Why? Because it does not have any connection with the world in which we are living. Clear? It can have certain traces, but you will not be able to equate these two separate worlds fully. The reality which is being portrayed in literature and the reality in which we are thriving are two different realities. It cannot be equated. It cannot be connected. Clear? So reason talks about logic. Reason talks about scientificity. Reason talks about rationality. Clear? It makes a thing very, very monolithic in nature. Because This chalk will always remain a chalk according to reason. This is a chalk. This will remain a chalk. But my imagination would. And see, through imagination I can actually change, transform this chalk into different things. Clear? I can make this chalk transcendental in nature. So that is the very importance of imagination in literature. Thank you.